Good day, everyone. In this discussion, we will be able to know more about the life of St. Thomas Aquinas. First, we will talk about his life, starting with his early life. St. Thomas Aquinas was born in the year 1225 in Rosaseca, Italy, near Aquino Terra di Laboro in the Kingdom of Sicily. He was the youngest of at least 9 children and born into a wealthy family that presided over a prominent castle in Rosaseca. His father is Landolf Aquino and his mother is Donna Theodora. Thomas family members were descendants of emperors Frederick I and Henry VI. Where they were considered to be of lower nobility.
Moving on to the later life and death of Saint Thomas Aquinas, in June 1272, Saint Thomas Aquinas agreed to go to Naples and start a theological studies program for the Dominican house neighboring the university. While he was still writing prolifically, his work began to suffer in quality. During the feast of Saint Nicholas in 1273, Saint Thomas Aquinas had a mystical vision that made writing seem unimportant to him. At Mass, he reportedly heard a voice coming from a crucifix that said, "Thou hast written well of me, Thomas, what reward will thou have?" To which Saint Thomas Aquinas replied, "None other than thyself, Lord." When Saint Thomas Aquinas' confessor, Father Reginald of Piperno, urged him to keep writing, he replied, "I can do no more. Such secrets have been revealed to me that all I have written now appears to be of little value." Saint Thomas Aquinas never wrote again. In January 1274, Saint Thomas Aquinas embarked on a trip to Lyon, France, on foot to serve on the Second Council but never made it there. Along the way, he fell ill at the Cistercian monastery of Casanova, Italy. The monks wanted Saint Thomas Aquinas to stay at the castle, but sensing that his death was near, Thomas preferred to remain at the monastery, saying, "If the Lord wishes to take me away, it is better that I be found in a religious house than in the dwelling of a layperson." Often called the universal teacher, Saint Thomas Aquinas died at the monastery of Casanova on March 7, 1274. He was canonized by Pope John XII in 1323.
For his education, he trained among Benedictine monks at the age of 5 at Abbey of Monte Cassino. Following the tradition of the period, St. Thomas Aquinas was sent to Abbey of Monte Cassino to train among Benedictine monks when he was just 5 years old. He remained at monastery until he was 13 years old. St. Thomas Aquinas remained at the monastery when he was 13 years old. As a teenage student in Naples, he fell under the sway of the Dominicans, a newly founded order of priests devoted to preaching and learning. He joined the order at the age of 19. Joining the order at the age of 19, he was assigned to Paris for further study, but his plans were delayed by his intransigence of his parents, who had hoped he would play a leading role at the venerable local monastery, Monte Cassino, where he had studied as a child. After confining him to Seca for a year, his parents yielded and Thomas went to Paris as a Dominican friar. After studying in Paris, he then was sent to Cologne, Cologne in 1248 under the supervision of Albert the Great.
Ordination, Aquinas believed that natural reason Aquinas believed that natural reason can demonstratively prove God's existence. He produced a comprehensive synthesis of Christian theology and Aristotelian philosophy that influenced Roman Catholic doctrine for centuries and was adopted as the official philosophy of the Church in 1970. Lastly, as Aquinas said, human ultimate good God a good consists in knowing God. Now, the, now the ultimate end of man of every intellectual substance is called felicity or happiness, because this is what every intellectual substance desires as ultimate end and for its sake alone.
Being a Dominican, Thomas started when the Aquino family kidnapped him because of Thomas' decision to join the mendicant order. Thomas committed himself to the Dominican order and cleared that his loyalty was with the Pope and not with the Holy Roman Emperor, and later on become a Dominican friar. Thomas became the student of Albert the Great and helped him to flourish. He traveled to Cologne, Paris, and back to Italy. They studied and wrote lectures for the church. He was called Dumb Ox.
Thomas' teenage life was radically different and perhaps in some ways embarrassing to the wealthy and powerful expectations of the Aquino family. Thomas studied both in the Abbey of Monte Cassino and then Naples during his youth. Was important because between these places of learning, he became immersed in the ideas of the Bible as well as philosophical concepts of the liberal arts. Lastly, he joined the Dominican order at the age of 20.
In his basic moral teachings, Aquinas believed that we can never achieve complete or final happiness in this life. For him, final happiness consists in beatitude or supernatural union with God. We not only need the goodness can be more or less, but being cannot be more or less, therefore goodness differs from being. Virtues. We also need God to transform our nature to perfect or defy it so that we might be suited to participate in divine beatitude. Aquinas consider a fairly straightforward objection to this view, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, is that good is to be done and evil is to be avoided. Specific natural laws that are beneficial to humans, such as self-preservation, marriage and family, and the desire to know God. He stated that both faith and reason ultimately come from God.
That's end our discussion. Thank you for listening. Thank you po, sir.